Cafe. We're at the corner of Glenwood and London. We are up on the stage at the Heartland Cafe, where every Saturday morning we bring you another edition of the Live from the Heartland Show. And this is Michael James. I'm here with my partner, Katie Hogan, and we've got a really nice lineup. We're going to talk politics with Ward Committeeman David Fagus, just reelected to that office. And we're going to give a rundown of both local, citywide, county, and perhaps a little bit of the state elections that happened this past Tuesday. Toward the end of the show, we've got the incomparable Ann Hills, used to be with Hog Eye Music, a wonderful folk singer, and she will be here. And we've got a couple of guests from out of town. We've got Linh Dinh, a Vietnamese-American poet, photographer. He's here for the Nelson Algren event. They will be performing, reading tonight, and we're honored to have him here. And we have Jin Ping, a filmmaker from China, with a film out at the Fiscal Center about China. So we're looking forward to some really worldly talk, and we're going to have a good time, and let's get going. Good morning to you, Katie.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
Whoa. Hi, David.
Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Michael.
Welcome back to the stage.
Yes, it's nice to be back at the Heartland.
I imagine it's nice to be post-election 4 days later.
Yes, I have a pile of laundry that's more than feet high that I should tell people.
Well, let's get right to it. Let's talk about results. And results not just here in the ward, but city, county-wide. In how you like... what do you like about the results on Tuesday? Well, that's a different question. What do you like about the results on Tuesday?
Well, of course I like the fact that Kelly Cassidy won, our local state representative candidate, someone who did very well and was someone I helped appoint in May, and the voters supported the choice that Carol Ronan and I made. I'm, of course, happy that I was able to prevail, and I think that there are some good folks that won election this time. Mary Jane Tice won for judge, Supreme Court. She's an eminently qualified jurist. And I think that when you went down the list of the people who won for judge, the vast majority of them were found qualified by the Chicago Bar Association or the Council of Lawyers or both. And they're a diverse group of people, men, women, different racial backgrounds. In fact, I think we elected the first Pakistani judge in the United States this election. And certainly, I mean, they haven't won yet, but you know how it goes here. If you win the primary, well, if you win the primary in Cook County, you're pretty much in.
Yeah.
So, I think that it was a very good results, and the turnout was very bad.
Yeah.
But the results were very good.
What was the turnout all across the board?
Citywide, I think the turnout was 20.3%. And turnout in
miserable.
Our ward was a little above that, 22.4%. So.
And what do you attribute that to? We had, there's a lot of talk on Channel 11 that, the weather was fine, so it's not a weather issue. With no top-tier candidates to speak of. What do you attribute to it? I know in our own ward, when people talk about low voter turnout, there is a considerable amount of turnover in our ward. Not only students from Loyola, but other people who maybe decide to move to the suburbs before they come back.
Well, I think that the fact that there was no big race, there was not a lot of TV. Even if you don't like political commercials, they kind of alert you that it's election time. And the fact that there was no real big-name race this time, I think, impacted turnout dramatically.
That's okay. People got enough calls.
Yes.
And literature to know that there was definitely an election.
I actually heard from some people that one of the reasons they didn't vote for a certain candidate was the amount of robocalls. It's a candidate who didn't win, but was there a...
There's always that reaction.
Yeah,
I got used in a robocall once, and people made a lot of jokes about it.
Well, what happens is the higher tier candidates raise enough money for television, and the folks, this election was jam-packed with what we would probably think of as lower tier elections: judges, state reps, state senators, local races, and they don't have, it would be a waste of resources to go on TV because their audience is smaller, or it's just too expensive. So they rely on mailings and canvassers going door to door and robocalls, which have become a key way to reach folks. And some people find them very annoying. Most people don't like them, but it gets the message out, and it's cheap.
Yeah. How cheap is it? I thought it wasn't cheap.
Robocalls?
Yeah.
Well, the 49th
I guess
Ward
relative.
Democratic Party office, we have a setup, as I understand.
Well, if you're paying for it, it's about to call 4,000 people was to call 4,000 people 3 times, and to call another 1,000 people 1 time was about $600.
Oh, relatively
That's not
cheap.
bad.
It's the
That's right.
cheapest way. It's cheaper than mail. It's the cheapest way you can go.
Okay.
Well,
Michael's
there's
going to
certainly gonna
start
be more
calling
of it.
people to the Heartland.
Yeah, I'm going to get
Yes.
a robocall set up. Step right up, brothers and sisters. We've got a race coming up on such and such a date. Robocall. David, one of the people who comes to the Democratic Party meetings regularly and was running for judge, he had been appointed, was Jean-Baptiste.
Yes, Lionel
Jean
Jean-Baptiste.
Baptiste, and there was some concern that he would probably win in the city and win in Evanston, but perhaps out in Niles and other suburbs, he was running against a guy named Bender. You can tell us a little bit about that race, because Lionel Jean Baptiste prevailed, and he did
win
well.
And he did very well in the places he was expected to do well in, which would be the 49th Ward, the 48th Ward, a little bit of the 50th Ward, and Evanston he did very well. And then he did reasonably well in the rest of the district. He really went out and had people in every precinct across his entire judicial subcircuit, which is a Herculean feat, frankly.
Truly.
He had a lot of billboards, he did a lot of campaigning, and he worked really hard. And you know, some people might have thought was going to have a tough time, but he cruised to victory. He did very well.
Any surprises at all? Or
no real surprises. I think that, you know, on our ticket, the people our members endorsed, the vast majority of them won in the ward and won the election across the county. There were only 3 folks. What I really found disturbing about this election was the Dorothy Brown-Ricky Munoz race, and
That was too bad.
Whoa, yeah.
that mail that came and that robocall that came at the very end, slamming Ricky, was really, really bad, and I really found it offensive. And I think that someone who
Fill us in.
Well, Dorothy Brown is the clerk of the circuit court, and she has prided herself and campaigned on and talked for years about how great it is that she runs these seminars to get expungements and to help people turn their lives around. Well, apparently that only counts if you're not running against her.
That's it.
Because she went after Ricky for things that happened when he was a teenager.
When he was 17 years old.
And she will deny that she had anything to do with it, because frankly, one of them was tagged by some group nobody ever heard of, and the other one had no political tag at all, which is illegal. But it's not hard to figure out that it must have come from someone supporting Dorothy Brown at a minimum. And it was just probably one of the worst hack jobs I've ever seen of anyone.
But I don't know if that's enough to answer for all the votes she got. She got a lot more votes than he did.
She did. And then I think,
yeah, what did she get?
well, Ricky had a very underfunded campaign. He had a tough time raising money. And I think that while people clearly recognize that it's time for change in that office, in the establishment, I think the voters prevailed and went through with the person that they knew, because Ricky didn't have enough resources to really let people know who he was and what he was going to do.
Well, that was a disappointment. We did interview him a few weeks before the election.
Yeah,
up
he was
here
on
too.
the show, and also Joy Cunningham was a guest on our show, and she's a really fine judge. She was running for the Supreme Court, and Tice won that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was a rough one. There were a couple of really good people running.
Yeah.
We also had Will Gazzardi, who's a young fellow. I know he went to Brown. He's only about 26 years old. He ran a really dynamic race for the state representative seat in the 39th district, and he was running against Barrios' daughter.
Yeah.
And there was a real squeaker. Is it over and done?
It is. Well, I don't know if he's conceded, but the numbers are not official until the Board of Elections certifies them. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like it was a close race, but he didn't quite make it.
It was 50 point something to 48.9.
Yeah. The difference is 111 votes, I think,
Wow.
and it was 50.7 to 49.3.
I bet he'll be on the scene again. I think he's a Huffington Post writer, and clearly a dynamic, young activist kind of a fellow. What's that say for Barrios and the machine, though? That they
They're
pulled it out?
strong.
Well, I think that well, the Chairman Barrios himself had a race from an Alonzo Zaragoza, someone I know who was the recent state chair of the IVI-IPO, and he did well. He got almost 64%. But I think that it speaks more to the fact that his daughter is there because she's his daughter and that she's not doing a great job as representing the people in that district. And it created an opportunity for someone to come along and say, I can do better. And he came within a whisker of knocking her off. And I think that he will be back, and I believe that he will run hard. And I think that if she doesn't do better, she will not be there the next time.
Well, we've seen people come close to losing their position and turn around their performance before, and so I mean, it's when you are that closely threatened, a lot of folks wake up and smell the coffee and go, oh, I guess I better do a better job for my constituents.
Yes, I think that they either go that way or they just don't get it and they lose.
Right.
It's one of the two.
David Fagus, Ward Committeeman in the 49th Ward, the Progressive Democratic outfit. One more question about a race. Patricia Watkins, she was in the mayoral race, and she was running for. I think she impressed a lot of people when she was running for mayor, even if they had, their cards in someone else's basket or hand or whatever the expression would be.
That's an interesting
I'm messing
mix
it up,
of
but that's
metaphors.
the way it goes. I'll make a poem out of it. Anyhow, Patricia Watkins did run for the state senate, and I believe she won. Can you tell us a little about that?
That's very exciting.
She had. She's a woman with a very interesting background. She had some problems early in her life and was drug addicted and turned her life around all the way to the point where she has a PhD. She ran for mayor and didn't do as well as she would have hoped, but she ran in this race in a district that was very challenged this time. We have Anna Zett Collins, who's under investigation for her homeowner's exemption, and does she really live in the district? And then one of the two state reps in that district is Derek Smith, our good friend, state representative, who found himself arrested before he ever faced election.
Right.
He got appointed, and within, I think, 7 months, he was down at the U.S. federal court explaining that he was innocent.
Yeah, and so Van Pelt Watkins is going to be somebody to watch.
I think she is. I think that she had some good support in the community. The race was reasonably close because Anna Zett's been there a while, and the district was split between the Danny Davis folks and the Jesse White folks. But she prevailed, and I think that she's a woman with a good head on her shoulders. She's got the right values, and I think that when she gets to Springfield, she's going to make some impact.
Yeah, I think so too.
David, what's next for all the activists here in the 49th Ward and beyond who are listening to the show? What is our next election? What are the issues? I know in this ward we have the community budgeting process, which we'll talk about in the weeks to come. What other activities? And tell us when we have meetings, that kind of thing. Invite some new folks to get on board.
Well, the Democratic Party of the 49th Ward meets at 1774 West Greenleaf, the corner of Greenleaf and Ravenswood, the third Monday of every month. We have a topic. We have a guest who speaks on a special topic, and then we also have a report from the alderman about what's going on in the community, and I give a report from the political perspective. The big thing ahead is obviously Obama. Our goal is obviously to re-elect him, but we know that he can't do it himself. We got to figure out a way to elect some more Democratic congressmen. So we're going to go out and do whatever we can in Illinois or Iowa or Wisconsin or Indiana to help folks who are also running for office in Congress get there.
It'd be really good to get Joe Walsh out of Congress, right?
It certainly would. I think Tammy Duckworth had a win. There's another pretty big name race that really didn't touch us, but certainly affects us in that Tammy Duckworth prevailed over Raja Krishnamurthy. I think that one of the disappointments was how poorly Ilya Shaman did in the 10th district. Mm-hmm. He was a very strong progressive candidate, backed by many of the national progressive groups, and he just didn't put it together.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that as well. But
I've got one more.
But we got Brad running.
Yes, Brad Schneider is. I don't know very well, but
I don't either. But
he is the Democrat. He's running against Bruce Dold, and I think that
Bruce Dold is going to be a tough candidate.
Yes, that's a tough district. I think people have called Schneider a blue dog Democrat. I don't know if that's just campaign talk or if it's reality.
Uh-huh.
But
He calls
He's got to
himself
be
a
better.
blue dog?
No, he denies it.
Okay.
But other people have during the campaign.
I was wondering if that had suddenly become a pin of glory or something.
No, he has. He denies
It
it.
brings back that folk song.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm not even going to do it. Old Blue. It's a good dog, you. When Old Blue died, he died so hard, shook the ground in my backyard. Anyhow, I got one more question about candidates. Rudy Lozano Jr. has come on the scene, and he was running. Did he win or lose? I think he probably lost.
Rudy lost by about from 52 to 47. He ran a tough race. He did well in the city. He won in the city portion of his district, but by 100 votes, 180 votes. But when he got to the suburban part of the district, he lost by about 500 votes, and that's really where the machine basically turned it around for, I think her name was Tabaris.
Yeah. I got a question.
Yeah.
David, a lot of folks from this 49th Ward Democratic Organization and also friends of ours to the north, also in Jan's district, did a lot of traveling 4 years ago to help get Barack Obama elected president. I think the traveling Chicagoans were a major factor in Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin even. This time around, is it, in your opinion, would it be more important to travel to a congressional district and work for both Obama and that congressional candidate slightly more so than going to, say, the state of Ohio like I did for a long time?
I think
both
they're both very useful, and I think it'll depend on how much time a volunteer has to give to do something and how willing they are to go. Our office is going to be a north side headquarters for the Obama campaign.
Right on.
We'll be coordinating most of the north side. And
can I officially put in a request for the candidate appearance at the Heartland Cafe?
Sure you can.
While Michael and I are still the managing owners.
Sure.
All right.
All right, David, I want to thank you for coming up. We look forward to seeing you. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, Michael.
Congratulations.
We'll hear more from you in the weeks to come. You are listening to the Live from the Heartland show, brought to you every Saturday morning over WLUW, Chicago Sound Alliance. That would be 88.7 FM. You can get it online at www.wluw.org. And you can look at earlier editions if you go to youtube.com/heartlandmedia. And I believe today, if you're listening in, and we still have a never mind, I'm not going to tell you that. Sometimes we're on TV, like web TV. We're going to take a short musical break. One of our guests this morning will be Ann Hills, and she performed, I believe, last night. She's going to sing up here a little bit later, but I asked Eli to play us a tune during the break. Okay, we'll be right back with more Live from the Heartland.